Meghan Markle spent the weekend clinging to Ted Sarandos' wife at a Netflix party in Montecito, and she appears to believe this was a victory. It was not a victory. It was a very public display of exactly how precarious her position with Netflix actually is, dressed up as a social triumph for people who are not paying close attention.
The funniest thing about Meghan Markle's deranged display in Montecito over the weekend with Ted Sarandos, the Netflix boss, is that she hasn't realised yet. You're the one being played, Meghan. You think this is a big victory, and that somehow all of the stories, which are factual, which is that Netflix has dumped your ass.
Let me explain what actually happened and why it matters. Ted Sarandos is the CEO of Netflix. His wife is Nicole Avant. Harry and Meghan have a first-look deal with Netflix, a deal that has survived despite the catastrophic underperformance of their actual output. With Love, Meghan's lifestyle show, was by almost any commercial measure one of the worst-performing lifestyle programs Netflix has produced. The as-ever products that were supposed to be promoted through that show did not move in any meaningful commercial quantity. Netflix has reportedly pulled back significantly from the couple, no longer allowing them to produce anything independently, no longer trusting them with creative control over projects that the streamer actually cares about. And yet here is Ted Sarandos welcoming them to a launch party for Beef, the show he genuinely cares about, whose second season stars Carrie Mulligan and Charles Melton. He wanted big names there to generate publicity. Harry and Meghan generate publicity. And so they were invited, and they came, and Meghan spent the evening holding tightly to Nicole Avant's arm and smiling for cameras that were recording moments she would later try to have deleted from Getty Images. That last detail is significant and worth dwelling on. Getty Images is the primary photographic agency through which celebrity event photos are distributed to media worldwide. When photos are deleted from Getty after an event, it means someone has specifically requested their removal. This is not a routine occurrence.
American media was more interested in the fact that Justin Trudeau and Katy Perry were there alongside Katy's ex Orlando Bloom. Of course it is gross. I mean, I'm not trying to say it's not gross. The fact that Ted Sarandos can be allowing his staff members to absolutely trash his wife's so-called friend to Variety magazine one week and then welcoming them into his bosom for publicity the next.
And this is, by reports, the second time that Harry and Meghan have quietly demanded the removal of photographs they did not approve of after the fact. The first occasion was the Kris Jenner birthday party, which preceded the departure of their PR chief. The second is now this Netflix event in Montecito.
Good Lord. What was she thinking? I mean, I would just say new stylist is required. And as I say, this comes from someone who knows nothing about fashion. Nancy Sidley, why is her body twisted like that? I'm shocked Meghan would approve these terrible pics of her. Well, it doesn't look like she did.
The photos that remain, the ones that were not successfully deleted, show Meghan in a dress that generated significant comment. The fabric, the fit, the styling, the overall picture were widely described as unflattering. But the more revealing detail is not the dress, it is the body language. Meghan clinging to Nicole Avant. Meghan holding on with a tightness that reads, not as warmth between close friends, but as someone who understands that this relationship is one of the few threads connecting her to the institution she desperately needs to remain connected to. Because if the relationship with Nicole Avant frays, and by extension the relationship with Ted Sarandos, becomes purely professional rather than social, the first look deal becomes very difficult to justify. And if the first look deal goes, the last remaining significant commercial relationship in Hollywood goes with it. This is not the behavior of a woman who is winning. This is the behavior of a woman who knows exactly how much she needs this and is working very hard to make sure the cameras capture it in the right way. The problem is that she did not succeed in controlling which cameras captured what. The unflattering photos went out, then the deletion requests went in, then the wide-angle shots that survived continued to circulate. And the whole episode ended up generating a story about Meghan's desperate attempt to manage her image, rather than the story she wanted, which was Meghan at the heart of Hollywood's most glamorous social world.
The celebrities for the Netflix Beef event in Montecito were deleted from Getty Images. She writes, all that survived is a wide-angle shot where you can see Meghan. Why? Don't know, though I can imagine Meghan was furious that the horrifically unflattering images were widely distributed without her knowledge. What's ironic is that her fix would have been so simple. Wear the proper supportive undergarments, choose a different and more flattering dress with a more forgiving fabric, and not hang all over everyone like a needy...
There is also the Carrie Mulligan element to this, which is worth addressing because it speaks to something that comes up repeatedly in the Sussex story. Multiple observers noticed that in a room where most attendees were dressed in muted, dark colors, both Meghan and Carrie Mulligan, the star of the show, the person whose evening this nominally was, appeared in remarkably similar colors, similar lengths, similar cuts. And the coincidence, if that is what it was, would be extraordinary. Carrie Mulligan is the lead of Beef Season 2. This was her night, her party, her platform. The possibility that Meghan found out what Mulligan was wearing and made a deliberate choice to match it to ensure that in any photograph,
where from what I have seen, most people were dressed in black and white, but Meg manages to match Carrie Mulligan's outfit in colour, length and cut. And who was the star of the hour? The private party was for her show, Beef, airing Season 2. I can't help but think Meghan found out what Carrie was wearing and deliberately clashed. I mean, it's very suspicious.
Her outfit drew comparison to the star of the evening. Is the kind of thing that sounds petty when described, but is entirely consistent with the pattern of calculated image management that characterizes everything Meghan does. Publicly. Now let's turn to the Netflix relationship itself, because understanding what is actually happening there requires cutting through quite a lot of Sussex spin. The first look deal exists. That is real. What it means in practice is that Netflix has the right of first refusal on any content Harry and Meghan produce. It does not mean Netflix is enthusiastically commissioning projects from them. It does not mean the relationship is a thriving creative partnership. It means Netflix has retained the option to not be surprised by a Sussex project going somewhere else. Given the drama that has characterized the relationship, the Oprah interview, the ongoing palace soap opera, the possibility that Harry and Meghan might at any moment produce something that becomes the most talked about content in the world for reasons Netflix cannot predict. Keeping that first look option is a relatively cheap form of insurance. What the deal does not mean, and what Meghan's team very much wants people to believe it means, is that Netflix values their creative contribution. The evidence on that point is clear.
That he actually really cares about means nothing. I mean, why was he not hosting this type of soiree for one of the launches of With Love, Meghan?
Exactly, Dan. And when you look at this whole thing, it's obviously such a PR move from Netflix in a way, because they know Harry and Meghan, the one thing they can get from the couple for sure is publicity, nothing else.
The shows underperformed. The products did not sell. Netflix is not allowing them to produce anything independently. The executives who previously championed the Sussex deal are no longer visibly doing so. Ted Sarandos unfollowing them on social media, which happened and was widely noted, was a signal in the language that Hollywood understands very clearly. And yet a photograph of Meghan at a Netflix party is supposed to suggest that all of that reporting is wrong. It is supposed to suggest that the relationship is fine, that everything is rosy, that the critics who said Netflix had distanced itself from the Sussexes were mistaken. It does not suggest any of those things. What it suggests is that Ted Sarandos wanted publicity for Beef Season 2, that Harry and Meghan generate publicity reliably, and that for one evening in Montecito, the calculation was made that the publicity value outweighed the awkwardness. It was a transactional arrangement that both parties understood perfectly, and Meghan walking away from it as though it was evidence of enduring partnership and creative alliance is either a performance for external consumption or a level of self-deception that is hard to fully comprehend. Now let's talk about Donald Trump and the Queen, because this is one of the more unexpected but genuinely revealing developments of the week. A new book by journalist Susan Page called The Queen and Her Presidents, The Hidden Hand That Shaped History, draws on interviews with multiple American presidents about their private relationships with Queen Elizabeth.
if Meghan and Harry still want to promote Netflix, actually, he has no problem with that. There is the first look deal that's in place if there is anything that they particularly want, especially anything royal. But I mean, Brittany, let's just look at the facts. You just always have to look at the facts. They rejected cookie queens.
And Trump's account of his conversations with her about Harry and Meghan is, whatever you think of the source, worth taking seriously. Trump told Page that he repeatedly pressed the Queen on the subject of Harry and Meghan, trying to get her to say something candid about what was happening. Her response was always diplomatically evasive. Everyone was very nice. She said everybody was lovely, but Trump says he could see through it. And his conclusion, drawn from those conversations, is that she was deeply wounded, that it hurt her, that she was stunned by what was happening in real time and could not quite believe it. Now, Trump is not an unimpeachable witness. He is a man with his own agenda, his own tendency to dramatize, and his own complicated relationship with truth. All of that needs to be acknowledged.
But I think the display we see from Meghan, especially sort of more of the manic behavior, I would call it like desperately clinging, trying to look like she's so close, is knowing at the same time she's so far away. This is not a confident woman. She does not exude confidence in these displays. She exudes extreme inconfidence. She's unconfident here. She is very, very worried, nervous. She's on the back foot. She knows Netflix is.
But there are two things that make his account credible in this specific context. The first is that his description of the Queen's diplomatic deflection, the way she spoke about everyone being very nice while clearly feeling something very different, is entirely consistent with how people who knew her well describe her approach to difficult personal subjects. She was trained over a lifetime to never say anything directly that could be used against the institution. The deflection Trump describes is recognizable. The second is that his conclusion that Harry has been led astray, that he genuinely loves Harry, but believes Meghan has been the driving force behind the decisions that cause so much pain, is consistent with what multiple people close to the situation have said privately over many years. Trump's phrasing is characteristically blunt. Harry has been terribly led astray. But the substance of that observation, stripped of the Trump delivery, is not substantially different from what royal biographers, palace insiders, and Harry's own friends have been suggesting for years.
Brittany, what we saw, ironically, over the weekend is Meghan, just at the time she's actually gathering with Ted Sarandos and the beef crew, is still trying to push was never. The emails become more constant and they also become more desperate. I mean, look how smug she looks in this picture.
The image of Queen Elizabeth in her final years, knowing that conversations with her grandson and his wife might be recorded, might be used, might appear in a book or a documentary after her death.
That is delusional. But where does she get off speaking about her family table and gathering people around her family table? She has excluded not only her family, but Harry's family.
Is a genuinely sad one. And it is not hypothetical. Harry's memoir, Spare, demonstrated clearly that private family conversations were being documented and reproduced. The recording allegation that is circulated, suggesting that Meghan recorded conversations during her time at the palace, has never been conclusively proved, but has never been conclusively disproved either. And in that context, the Queen's famous composure takes on an additional layer. She was not just being diplomatically reserved. She was potentially being careful in her own home, with her own family, about what she said. That the most powerful woman in Britain, the head of state of multiple nations, the person at the apex of one of the world's most ancient and enduring institutions, had to be careful about being recorded by her own grandson and daughter-in-law, is, if true, one of the most damning indictments of the Sussex operation that exists. Not a policy failure, not a PR misstep, not a commercial underperformance, a fundamental betrayal of the basic trust that makes family possible. Trump says she didn't deserve that. And on that specific point, whatever else one might think of him, he is right. The broader question that all of this raises, the Netflix party, the deleted photographs, the Trump interview, the reported recording concerns, is one that keeps recurring throughout the Sussex story. What are Harry and Meghan actually building? Not the stated mission, not the humanitarian framing, or the advocacy work, or the lifestyle brand aspirations, but what are they actually constructing, day by day, decision by decision? The answer, looking at the evidence, appears to be a defensive perimeter, a set of relationships and appearances and photo opportunities designed primarily to protect the brand from the reality of what is happening to it. The Netflix party is not about a thriving creative partnership. It is about maintaining the appearance of one. The deleted photographs are not about privacy. They are about controlling the documentation of a moment that did not go as planned. The Montecito social life is not about genuine friendship. It is about proximity to people whose association carries commercial value.
We're doing this too. Watch.
Trust had been broken, basically.
Right.
And so I think, as far as, having somebody in the room, I think certainly there was one time is to stop them taking photographs or being wired, or God knows what they were up to.
What do you mean, wired for telly?
Yeah, wired for recording.
What, so the Queen thought that they might be wired up to be recording conversations with her for Netflix purposes?
It's always a possibility. I'm not saying it happened.
This is a fundamentally exhausting way to live. It requires constant management, constant vigilance, constant calculation. Every social interaction is a potential asset or liability to be assessed. Every photograph is a piece of evidence to be approved or suppressed. Every friendship is a resource to be leveraged before it depreciates. And the people who are closest to you, your husband's grandmother, your former co-stars, your PR representatives, all of them must be managed rather than simply known.
Meghan Markle just doesn't seem to understand that. Her email says literally nothing. It's basically banal mishmash to try to get people to buy products, when the answer is so simple. Meghan needs to show herself using her own products. Don't show us yourself cutting strawberries in a kitchen. Nobody cares. How do you use your strawberry spread in a unique way? How do you use, let's say, the flour sprinkles in a unique way? That's not a great example, but
the contrast with what the royal family represents at its best, the long view, the institutional continuity, the sense of service that transcends individual ambition, could not be more stark. The Queen spent 70 years building something that would outlast her. Harry and Meghan are spending their years trying to manage the image of something that is shrinking. Every week produces a new story about another relationship that is cooled, another commercial venture that is underperformed, another photograph that needed to be deleted, another spokesperson caught in a lie. And Meghan at the Netflix party, holding tightly to Nicole Avant's arm, smiling for cameras that would later capture images she found unflattering, believing perhaps that this moment demonstrates something positive about her position in Hollywood, that is not someone who is winning. That is someone who is working very hard to prevent people from seeing how much she is losing. There is a difference, and the cameras, the ones she could not get deleted, captured it. Let me go deeper on the Netflix situation specifically, because I think it is the most commercially significant element of this week's developments, and it deserves more than a surface reading.
And within it, Donald Trump reveals that the Queen was stunned by Meghan and Harry's desertion of duty. And Tom Sykes reports Donald Trump has reopened his war with the Sussexes after saying that the late Queen Elizabeth II was left deeply wounded by Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's public attacks on the monarchy, revealing that he repeatedly pressed her on the subject only to be met with her legendary diplomatic composure.
When Harry and Meghan announced their Netflix deal in 2020, it was reported to be worth approximately $100 million. It was presented as evidence that they could build something beyond the royal family, that their names and their story had commercial value that did not depend on the institution they were leaving. It was the foundation of the argument that the Sussex departure was not just emotionally understandable, but commercially viable. 5 years later, the picture is considerably different. The documentary series about Polo underperformed. With Love, Meghan, the lifestyle show that was supposed to establish Meghan as the next Martha Stewart or Gwyneth Paltrow, was not just a commercial disappointment. It was, in the assessment of most observers who watched it, genuinely bad television. Poorly conceived, poorly executed, lacking the kind of authentic personal access that makes lifestyle content work, and dependent on Meghan projecting an expertise and warmth that the format exposed as unconvincing. The as-ever products that were supposed to be driven by the show's audience did not sell in meaningful quantities. The jam that everyone was talking about, the product that became a cultural shorthand for the entire Sussex lifestyle venture, turned out not even to be jam. It was a fruit spread. A legal distinction that became a small but telling symbol of the gap between the Sussex brand presentation and the actual reality underneath it. Netflix drew its conclusions from the data. The data said that Meghan Markle attached to a lifestyle project does not drive viewership, it does not drive product sales, it does not generate the kind of engagement that justifies the investment. And so Netflix restructured the relationship. No more independent creative control, no more projects built around Meghan as the draw. Instead, an executive producer credit attached to a project being made by people who know what they are doing, which is to say, a brand licensing arrangement dressed up as a creative partnership. And now, Ted Sarandos invites them to a party for a show that has nothing to do with them, because their presence generates press coverage, and press coverage is useful for a show launch. It is a transaction.
So lovely to see the Queen be as diplomatic as she is, and that is what royals are called to be, is diplomats. And so she definitely very much had that legacy. But it's impossible to ignore the reality that Harry and Meghan hurt her deeply. They basically spit on her legacy. That was their legacy, is just to kind of throw it to the side and walk on as if none of it mattered, when it had a grave impact on...
It is Netflix getting value from the Sussex name in the one area where that name still delivers publicity without having to invest any actual creative trust or significant financial resources in the couple producing something the streamer has to stand behind. Meghan has interpreted this party as evidence that the relationship is intact, that the narrative of Netflix abandoning the Sussexes is false, that her proximity to Ted Sarandos and his wife demonstrates something meaningful about her standing in Hollywood. But the party proves the opposite of what she thinks it proves. It demonstrates that Netflix's relationship with her has been reduced to its most transactional possible form. She generates noise. They use the noise when it is useful. That is the entirety of what remains. Now consider what this means for the broader Sussex commercial strategy. Netflix was supposed to be the anchor. The $100 million deal was supposed to provide the financial foundation and the creative platform from which everything else would grow. It did not work out that way. And with Netflix effectively downgraded from partner to occasional useful noise generator, the financial picture for the Sussex operation becomes considerably more precarious. The speaking fees are declining. The retreats are generating controversy rather than the warm lifestyle coverage they were designed to produce. The As Ever brand has not established itself as a credible player in the lifestyle space. The Archwell Foundation has been reduced to essentially one person. Major Hollywood representation is gone. And the upcoming Australia commercial activities, the lifestyle retreat, the corporate speaking engagement, are operating in an environment where the Sussex brand's ability to command premium prices is under significant pressure. Where does the money come from? That is the question that the Montecito lifestyle makes unavoidable. The security alone for a couple at the Sussex level of public profile costs enormous amounts of money. The property, the staff, the private travel, the operational costs of maintaining the image that is supposed to justify the commercial premium. All of it requires revenue that the current commercial operation is not generating at the levels required. The royal family, through its various institutional arrangements, was able to provide those resources. That is what Harry walked away from. And the commercial empire he was supposed to build as a replacement has not materialized in anything approaching the form that was projected 5 years ago, which leaves, as several people close to the situation have noted, a relatively short list of remaining options. More royal revelations. That is one option, and it is the one that the palace apparently fears most and that Harry and Meghan keep implicitly threatening. Every time the relationship with the institution becomes relevant, every time a reconciliation is discussed, every time Charles's health makes the question of the future more urgent, the unspoken presence in the room is the question of what Harry has not yet said publicly, and whether the right circumstances might prompt him to say it. It is leverage. Whether Harry would actually use it is unknowable. but the fact that it exists as leverage is itself significant. The acting comeback is another option, and it is the one currently being most actively briefed. The anonymous casting agents, the reports of flooding offers, the strategic repositioning of Meghan as an actress rather than a lifestyle brand, all of it is oriented toward making this option seem more viable than the current evidence would suggest it is.
Sussex's Trump told Page he admired the Queen's restraint, but said he could never have shown the same grace. I actually told her I couldn't do what she does because she was very cool on the subject. She would talk about it, but never said anything bad about either of them. And I think that she loved Harry, really loved Harry. But Harry's been, I feel, led astray. I really do. I think he's been terribly led astray. He added, "It's just so disrespectful the way that happened, and she didn't deserve that. This is a woman that everybody respected so much."
Hollywood will make its decisions based on commercial data, not on briefings to the New York Post. And the commercial data does not currently support the narrative being constructed. The UK return is a third option, and it is the one with the longest timeline and the most moving parts. If Meghan can reestablish any meaningful presence in Britain, if she can make herself relevant to the British media ecosystem, even in a controversial way, she refreshes the narrative and extends the shelf life of the Sussex story in the market where it has the most inherent resonance. The 2027 Birmingham Invictus Games are the stated vehicle for this, but 2 years is a very long runway, and a lot can change in 2 years. What all three options have in common is that they are all reactive. They are all responses to the failure of the original plan, rather than expressions of a coherent alternative vision. The original plan was to become a genuinely independent cultural and commercial force, to be interesting to the world, not because of royal adjacency, but because of what Harry and Meghan themselves had to offer. That plan has not worked, and the options that remain are all, in different ways, still dependent on the royal story that the original plan was supposed to transcend. The Netflix party in Montecito is a microcosm of the whole thing. It looks like Hollywood glamour. It looks like social success. It looks like a couple at the center of the entertainment world's most prestigious gatherings, but the photographs had to be deleted because the reality did not match the image. The relationship with the host is transactional rather than genuinely warm. The guest of honor at the party that matters, Carrie Mulligan, the actual star of the actual show, may or may not have been the victim of deliberate outfit copying designed to pull focus. And the woman at the center of it all is, by credible accounts, not confident and triumphant, but anxious, and increasingly aware that the time she has left in this particular game is running shorter than she would like anyone to know. Trump said the Queen was stunned by what was happening. He said she could not believe it in real time. There is something in that phrase, "could not believe it in real time," that resonates beyond the specific context. Because watching the Sussex story from the outside, there are moments when it is genuinely hard to believe in real time. Hard to believe that people with access to such extraordinary resources, such extraordinary opportunities, such an extraordinary platform, keep making choices that systematically undermine everything those resources and opportunities could have built. Hard to believe that the gap between the story being told and the story that the evidence tells keeps getting wider rather than narrower. But it is real. The Netflix party happened. The photographs were deleted. The casting agent quotes appeared in the New York Post. The Trump interview was given. The Queen, in her final years, was careful about what she said to her own family because she could not trust them. All of it happened. All of it is documented. And all of it, taken together, tells a story that no party photograph, however it is framed, and whatever pictures are subsequently removed from Getty, can change